Welcome to the Starblaze Music and News Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Rakiem Walker. Make some noise.
Hey, what's
let's
up?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
How you feeling today?
I feel amazing.
Yeah?
I feel amazing, yeah. I sure do.
That's good to hear. It's a good day. The summer's out. The city's been activated. The Knicks won. It's been good outside.
It's been amazing outside, and it's been, I think everybody has been celebrating and giving themselves reasons to celebrate, especially after the Knicks won, because that means a lot in a lot of different areas in life. Like the Knicks won, as a New Yorker, it's like, okay, so now what is my life looking like? You know what I mean? So you kind of like try to freeze frame this winning moment to be like, okay, how can I relate this to me winning in something in my personal life? So
Carry that momentum.
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't even think of it like that, but that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. But who is Rakiem Walker, and how did he get to this point? I know you got a long story, but...
Rakiem Walker is a kid that was born in Brooklyn, Fort Greene, Brooklyn, in Cumberland Hospital. Raised in Harlem in the Bronx as a young person. And then, kind of explored what it is that inspires me. What did I really want to do in life? And I was 13 years old, and there was this program that was on TV called Friday Night Live. And I heard this sound of David Sanborn playing a saxophone. And I said, oh, my God, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
Saxophone changed my life. I'm so glad that Adolph Sax, who created the saxophone in the I think it was the late 1700s or the 1800s. Mm-hmm. I thank him for creating the saxophone, because the saxophone is an instrument with 22 buttons on it, but only 9 fingers have to control 22 buttons.
Wow. A lot of dexterity.
A lot of dexterity. And it's actually the second instrument to the human voice, because it operates like the vocal cord.
It's interesting, because I've always thought of the saxophone as being very vocal. So, what was it about the saxophone, like, and that moment, like, what qualities, like, spoke to you, like, in that moment? Like, what was that feeling like? Like, what, can you kind of, like, paint the picture?
It was the rawness of the attack that David Sanborn had. It sounded very raw and sounded very street. And you got a picture. I'm in my mother's apartment in 182nd Street, Jerome Avenue in the Bronx, and I didn't grow up with my own room or nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like in the living room, sleeping in the living room, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's what I want to do. Because at the age of 10, 3 years prior to that, I was on my 10th birthday. I realized that I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to live in poverty.
That's real.
And it really made me determined to make sure that I do everything possible within my skill set and enhancing my skill set to make sure that I lived a certain way. Resources.
I get that. Yeah. And that kind of ties into like this like first, second question. And I'm sure it's changed over time, but what is your why? Like, why do you do what you do?
I felt like it chose me. I just found out 3-4 months ago that my grandfather's brother, his name was Sterling Walker. He played saxophone. He was born in 1912. Mm-hmm. I didn't know he was a saxophone player. So he played saxophone, actually, like played.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a bass player for Count Basie.
Oh, wow.
For 30 years.
Wow.
And he taught me how to scat when I was a teenager. And, so Count Basie with him, then his brother was a saxophone player. And it's funny how my father used to play flute when he was in school. But then he, kind of didn't pursue it any further. And then one day he found out I played the saxophone. He was just like, you play the saxophone, man? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, man. So my grandfather told me, he said, yeah, my brother plays the saxophone. So I guess it was a DNA thing. Whatever reverberated inside of that uncle of my great uncle of mine, you know, it passed on to my grandma, and then it came to me, like, you know,
of resonance.
Yeah, the resonance of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it saved my life. The saxophone saved my life because I was going down the wrong path as a teenager. I got into, you know, selling drugs and, you know, mixing crack and, you know, and one day I was with my friend and, you know, we were doing the wrong stuff. And then all of a sudden I looked at him, I said, yo, man, I'm not doing this no more. And I went into a basement in the Bronx in my mother's building and started practicing 8 hours a day for like 10 years.
Wow. That's dedication.
Yeah.
But like to be in those circumstances, I think it naturally breeds a certain dedication.
Well, the pressure of life and death puts you there very young. You like, okay, well, if I keep doing that, I know I'm going to die. Because I wasn't going to use the drugs, but I'm sure somebody would have killed me or I would have been.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's just the name of that game. So I stayed in the basement for 10 years, and all my friends were in front of the building, outside of the basement window, selling drugs.
So you were literally on the cusp of like two worlds, essentially.
Yeah, man. It was crazy, man. And you know, and I'd be like, yo, you can't smoke weed in front of the window because it would come inside the laundromat. The super of the building gave me the laundromat and gave me the keys to the laundromat to just practice there.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah.
Wow.
The super of the building. So, you know, at 1 West 182nd Street. So that's how I started getting really deep into the craft. And it saved my life. It kept me, I was able to travel around the world doing that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, imagine like just, you know, you have air in your body and the air that you breathe out of your body, you get paid for that. Think about it. Yeah. Like I breathe air into a tool and get paid for the air that I breathe into a tube. Like that's crazy.
But like in a way though, it's like the breath and oxygen are the foundation of like our life. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like this might be like a little metaphorical, but it's like, you know, you're taking that life force and you're breathing it, channeling it through this vessel, this instrument, and then you're dispersing it out.
Isn't that something?
It's a powerful thing.
It's crazy. You know, and you know, I'll wait for your next question.
No, it's a powerful thing, and like I'm curious. This as far as your sound. And like you, like growing up in Harlem and in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, these are all places with very, very like rich music history, especially like in regards to like Black music.
Yeah.
And you know, coming from that environment, coming from that energy, I'm curious, like, how would you describe your sound? Not necessarily technically, but spiritually and emotionally.
Well, the influences were, you know, of course, straight ahead jazz. Listening to Coltrane, I remember when I started studying music, and I, you know, I heard Coltrane when I started studying. I remembered that sound from when I was like 2 or 3 years old. I said, "Oh my God, I know the sound of this horn." And my father used to play Coltrane songs before he split up with my mother when I was 3. Mm-hmm. And that's how I remember the sound.
Planted the seed.
Yeah. So, you know, for me to hear that at, you know, 14, 15, 16, and then really jump into Coltrane and then, you know, Cannonball Adderley and, you know, the other horn players, Miles Davis. My mother used to party with Miles Davis. And my mother, you know, she was a very strong influence in my life. She's an amazing woman. But my mother, she used to work for Nicky Barnes. And she sold drugs to Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie. So at 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
In the 60s.
Wow.
1964, 65, 66, all the way to like 68. That's what she did. So she was hanging out with them all the time. Yeah. So that was another thing that was going on, you know. And to have all of that legacy touch my mom and then, you know, affect and impact me was a a whole thing. The only thing, I just never wanted to get involved with drugs.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way it smelled. To this day, I don't drink because I don't like the taste of alcohol.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't taste good. Like,
It's
like a placebo.
and it's not that I don't judge anybody else. It's just I think that all of those external things are a distraction from your purpose and your oneness with yourself. There's no excuse. Those things don't help you or make you better at a divine skill set like music.
Wow.
It doesn't.
I love the way you put that. That's real.
Yes, it just doesn't. I don't care what anybody tells you. Jimi Hendrix, he wished he didn't shoot heroin. You know, Charlie Parker would always tell all the jazz musicians, please don't follow me and try to shoot heroin like me and think you're going to sound like me. John Coltrane, he died of cancer of the liver because he was on heroin and he destroyed his liver, you know. So these people, they didn't want people to use drugs or young musicians coming up to use drugs in order to try to, rationalize the depth of how you are to connect to your creativity. I think that's all wrong. I know it's wrong. So, if anybody want to argue with me, that's fine. But it is wrong because nobody benefits from it.
Yeah.
I think that to be able to be sober, operate in sobriety, and become one with your spirit, to see how music wants to use you, that's the key. And you have to be sober to allow you to be ready to allow music to use you. So that's one of the things I believe personally.
I feel that.
And I've seen the example of that being displayed, as far as the bad side, which is using the drugs and doing music and not using drugs and doing music. So, nothing to nobody else. I'm not judging anybody. I love all my people, no matter what it is. But, you might have people that are sober all the time, but they might be nuts.
Yeah.
In another way, chemically imbalanced. You know what I'm saying? So, it's nothing, no judgment to anybody. So, it's like what I'm trying to do is let everyone know that you can be in a healthy environment and keep your temple healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not coming from any biblical anything. I'm just saying keeping your temple healthy so that way you can use this body, which is a tool, to reach more people in good health.
Absolutely.
That's mainly what I'm.
No, that's real. And in a way, like, the mind is a supercomputer. Like, it's like the original supercomputer. And, like, our bodies are just, like, these incredible organisms. And I feel like if we break down to, like, the nitty-gritty of, like, why do people, like, go to different vices, whether it be, like, drinking or drugs and da-da-da-da, like, I think it's often a reflection of, like, either trying to numb something or trying to escape to something. And I think, and there's, like, been a lot of great artists that have, like, been somewhat reliant on those to, like, make the music. But I feel like you could get to that point, like, sober and clear, but it's just, like, it requires a certain level of dedication. Like, not only to the craft, but to yourself.
Yeah. Loving yourself and learning how to master your magic without any chemical interference.
I love that. Master your magic. Yeah.
Learning how to master your magic is very important. And me starting from the roots of jazz and then going through all the different genres of playing music, doing hip hop, and my years with Wu-Tang being the in-studio music director under RZA and Chris, who was actually my boss there. It was really a great experience. It was me, RZA, Carlos Best, who's the engineer at the time, and then Chris, who's a drummer, but he was also my boss there. And he, these guys garnered me. Donald Byrd was the one. Donald Byrd from Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds was the one that actually pushed me in that direction.
That's
he heard me practicing Giant Steps by John Coltrane one day.
Wow.
And he was like, "Yo, man, me and Coltrane, we used to play that song backwards." And I was like, "Word?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "But stop playing that. Learn how to play music of your own generation." This was like in 1994. And I did that. I listened to him and did that. And then 2 years later, I ended up with Wu-Tang because of him.
Wow.
Because he was doing the Jazzmatazz project with a Guru. And I knew Guru. I knew Guru and DJ Premier. I knew the both of them at the time. So, They used to hang out on my block because they both had an apartment on 183rd Street and Grand Avenue in the Bronx. So, Guru came from Philly and moved to the Bronx, and then, so he used to come to my building to buy the weed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Wow.
The building I was living, at the time on Jerome Avenue. So that's how I knew, them. But I think, being in the culture, like culture comes first, right? And then the music. The music is only a representation of the culture. So we talk about music today. I don't mean to be jumping around, but
you're good.
I think that there has to be a very potent, strong direction, organic direction, or something that's bubbling inside the womb of the culture that comes out and expresses itself musically, and then everybody follows. Then the trend comes after that. I think the music industry is stuck on trying to make a trend and not letting the culture give birth to the trend.
I like that. That's real.
Yeah, like that's the problem.
No, that's so real. And like it almost like, and I'm thinking about it like, more so of like artists of my generation. Everybody's trying to chase virality, and it's like through the pursuit of chasing virality, it's like you lose a sense of identity because you're trying to catch something that's already happened, and you're trying to model yourself after things that already happened. But like really, I feel like those viral moments come from when you least expect it, and it comes from you just expressing in a way that is true to you, and that's reflective of your environment and reflective of the culture around you. So
I mean, you're 1,000% correct. Algorithmic patterns. Okay, so I'm 12 years old. I'm growing up in the Bronx, and 50 chapters of Zulu Nation are meeting on Davidson and 182nd Street. They were viral. It was 1,000 dudes out there with kufis on, with tassels to the side.
that's so real.
There was no social media. Zulu Nation was a movement in the Bronx and in Harlem. And it wasn't as big in Harlem because Harlem had its own feeling and algorithmic thing, and it had to do with the whole fly thing. Brooklyn had a whole nother feel, but it was also connected to Zulu Nation in that way, but it still wasn't as big as the Bronx was.
Yeah.
So, that was that's part of hip hop. A lot of people don't realize that. So you had all of these microcosmic things happening all over the city in different boroughs that actually gave it a soundscape, a sound, which was hip hop, and an evolutionary sound. It kept evolving and evolving and evolving. So I think people are missing that. Like that was the virility,
Yeah.
in that, is it becoming viral first within the culture. And that's why it's still resonating to this day. Now you got the boom bap style, you got the trap sound, you got the trill sound. Like that all came from Zulu Nation meeting in the Bronx. Graffiti writers writing on a train. So, in the late 70s, a lot of graffiti writers, they were comparing black books outside my building on the cars. They would all bring their black books outside. All these graffiti writers, they were famous. Cope,
Wow.
Mon, C-Boy, Scene. All these guys they would do their pieces. So as kids, we would watch the trains, right? Oh, yo, Scene just did this new piece. Oh my God, that's the new piece that everybody's talking about. And go from the Bronx all the way to Brooklyn. We weren't worried about how many clicks and likes we got. We worried about if the culture noticed it. That's the difference.
That's real.
And I think that's where, let's take Denzel Washington, for example, right? An incredible actor, Academy Award winner. He wasn't worried about going viral. He was worried about doing a great job.
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren, who I've met, Ralph Lauren was worried about, he's a guy from the Bronx, he's from Jerome Avenue.
Oh, I didn't realize. Wow.
204th Street, Jerome Avenue. His real name is Ralph Lifshitz.
Oh, wow.
And he changed it to Lauren because he knew that an Italian last name would sell more.
Yeah.
So, the hard work, I met him and shook his hand and we spoke like the hard work and the culture accepted him in the 70s. Because in the 60s, in 1967, when he first started his first group of ties, they were fat. In the 1960s, everybody was wearing skinny ties. So in the 70s, they started wearing fat ties. That's when he popped off. So it starts with the culture initiating what the movement should be. It doesn't start with, I gotta go viral, I gotta pay for a campaign so that I can become popular and everybody. Nobody's feeling your music. Like, nobody's feeling you. Like,
That's real.
you know what I'm saying? Like Biggie, you know, that was a movement, that Biggie sound. I heard it in 94. I was in the barbershop. I was like, oh, okay. 95, it had a stronghold. It was like, that sound, his voice. Like, I'm in the barbershop that year. I'm like, yo, who is this? And it was crazy. So the culture determines. It has to be palatable for the culture. Yeah. The culture ingests it, and then they respond to how it impacted them.
I like that.
That's the way real viralness operates. And nobody understands that. So you have a lot of young artists, you know, they're out here and I want to go viral. First, you have to have an audience, like real bodies.
Big people skip that step. And they often, people like, and again, speaking of like younger artists, like, I think people get so caught up in the online universe that they forget that like the real connection starting off is going to be made when you're outside shaking hands with people, having conversations with people, because those are going to be the moments that people remember, and that's going to be the moments people carry with them.
So let's get to the next part of the conversation, which is, you know, I left music in 2004. I was touring. I was on the same tours with Coldplay, the Foo Fighters, Missy Elliott, Snoop Dogg, you know, Creed, U2. I was on the same tours.
Yeah.
All over Europe. It was great. It was amazing. Working with these artists, and they were amazing. We were the band, and, you know, I got to meet all these guys and hang out with all these amazing people. So I left it in 2004, and I got back to music. I took like a 6-year break, got back to it in like 2010. And when I got back to it, how I got back was I was working a regular job. Yeah. It was 2007, and I wasn't satisfied with my job. I worked at Mary Bertram High School, right near here.
What were you doing there?
I was a counselor. I was a substance abuse prevention intervention specialist. We did intervention before kids would go off and get on drugs and stuff. That's what I did for a living. I worked for the state of New York. It was great. I got certified and all of that. But it wasn't feeding me. Yeah. So I said, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to finish 20 years. And at the time, I did 17 years. I don't want to finish 20 years doing this. I said, let me take my chance. I had a wife, 3 dogs, and a house at the time. So I took my horn, and I went to Central Park. And I played 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, for 6 years.
Tap back into that dedication that was there when you were a child.
You got to tap back into the culture, the street. You know, I had to do that, and people thought I was crazy. I was able to pay off my house doing that. I did. Yoko Ono used to come to Central Park 10 o'clock in the morning from Monday through Thursday and give me a $100 bill every morning. I got into the movie Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake by being there.
Wow.
I'm a saxophone player in a gray T-shirt in that movie.
I knew that, but I didn't realize it came about just through
me
at the park.
Taking a shot at myself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was like, I don't want to work a job for 20 years with someone else and expect them to move me up the ladder. Really? Why don't I give myself a shot and be accountable to me? And that's what I did.
World's in your hands.
Right. You know, whether I eat, whether I get to pay a bill, that's all my responsibility. I don't have nobody else to blame. Yeah. And when I did that, it strengthened me in areas that I never knew existed inside of me. And it was the best thing that I could have ever done. And then, you know, by 2010, I started playing in clubs again. And people started to notice, oh, you're back in music. And because I had left. And, you know, I left doing well. Yeah. I didn't have to leave. There's nothing in music bothered me or hurt me. Or I just was chilling. I was just like, okay, I don't want to tour no more. I'm tired. And when I went back to music, I started Walk Entertainment Group. And who knew that I was going to have Monday nights at Red Rooster, and for 9.5, going on 10 years, it was going to be popular. Who knew Clive Davis was coming there? all the time. And he would text me, Rakiem, I'm on my way uptown. And, and then, Natalie Cole, before she passed, she would come. Mariah Carey would come with her family.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like unbelievable what was going on. It was a movement. The culture received impact from something that I was doing. That all came from me starting playing in the park when I went back to my music career. And it really was a strong movement. And we would have anywhere from 300 to 500 people in there every Monday, whether it was 2 degrees outside or 102 degrees outside. I've had so many people. Denzel Washington came. 50 Cent used to come. We had Sting drive he rode his 10-speed uptown. I had Cool from Kool and the Gang. He started coming every Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And because of focus and me allowing music to use me and not thinking that I knew everything in music.
Big.
You know what I'm saying? You can't think you know everything.
Because you cut yourself off.
Yeah, and then music will reject you after that. People don't realize that. You understand? So if you're worried about becoming viral, worry about mastering your magic and then being around the right people. Because that will calibrate everything else around you. I have a label and I have distribution with Sony and also with with Warner, which is great. Love working with Star Blaze. You guys are amazing. And, have wonderful artists. Gloria is one of our first artists. I believe she was on the podcast last week.
Yeah,
she's amazing. We've had a wonderful working relationship, but even her background, like she worked with Rihanna, Deborah Cox, Paul McCartney, Sting. She's the same with all these people. Yeah. And if you're a new artist and you I want to go viral, first of all, you need to be around the masters first. Mm-hmm. Learn the game.
Put in the work.
You got to put in that work. Yeah. Because when you get around people like that, it's serious time.
And you want to be able to show up where you need to be at the level you need to be at. Because, what's a worse villain than being brought into a room and then you fumble and it's like, dang, I should have been practicing because I have been leading up to this moment. Those
legends have so many gems to drop on the young generation, and they take your mind away from social media. There's nothing wrong with social media. There's no either or. Everything can work together in tandem, but there's a time and a place where you use that. I love social media, but it doesn't trigger my impulses and control my mindset, nor does it validate me or affirm what I've already, has as an asset as far as my skill set is concerned. It doesn't affirm that. So you have to build your own affirmation and confidence in what it is you do and not be so triggered by, oh my God, the person is doing that on social media. They're getting this many likes. I got to do the same thing. What are you doing? That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Whatever current is happening to someone else. Me and Maxwell went to the same high school together, and so did Smith and Wesson. Right? Also, Buck Wild, the producer. Yeah. Right? We all went to high school together. Same time. Oh, Maxwell went to high school with me, and he was 2 years behind me. Dude, that is what the universe has for Maxwell.
You're on your own timeline. You're on your own path.
Yes.
Yep.
So you can't feel like you have to compare yourself to.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
I love that. I love that. I love anybody who, the Fat Joes of the world. Him and I did the same show Christmas time during the pandemic. Well, right before the pandemic, in 2019, in December 2019. Great guy. RZA, love working with him. All the guys at Wu-Tang, they're very respectful dudes. Big shout out to RZA giving me a shot. Big shout out to Norman Connors, Max Roach, one of my mentors. Also, Roy Ayers, by way of Jamal Peoples and Larry Peoples, giving me a shot. And also Gloria, as an artist, her giving me a shot working with her voice. She is class act. She has perfect pitch, and she's just a joy. And the only vocalist that I've ever really enjoyed working with, because her character is amazing.
That's big.
Yeah, and big shout out to Nicole Evans, who actually runs Walker Entertainment Group. You know, she's just on it and extremely professional, and also our administrative team, which is Angel Peoples, and just and again, Starblaze for having me here. I love when an artist knows who they are and stick to it.
They're true to it.
Yeah,
They have a foundation.
You have to be true to your core and master your own magic. But first, you got to learn what your magic is. That's a process.
Absolutely. And it's like you only go through that process by going through life.
Right. Right. You have to go through life. You can't watch Cardi B. She got 2 million likes. I want 2 million likes. And
at that point, you're watching other people's life.
Everybody wants other people's accolades and praise. I think people are lusting after fame because they want to be the apple of people's humans, like other humans' eyes. Like, that has nothing to do with the culture. It has nothing to do with that.
That's real.
The culture has to validate what you mean to them. So if you have a new artist, they pay for all these likes and streams and all of that, but yet at Ticketron and online, they don't even have 300 people that come to the show.
You got 30K followers, can't get 100 people. That doesn't make any sense.
Right, that doesn't make any sense. Exactly. So, you need to engage. Just like, I want more social media engagement. I got to engage. The same thing with human bodies. You have to engage and perform. A lot of new artists, they need to go outside and perform in the street.
Big. I agree.
And see if people like you.
Yeah. That's like the ultimate training ground. Because it's like when you make in a vacuum, it's like your only critic is you and maybe a couple of friends, but it's like you're in a vacuum.
Go outside to Washington Square Park and park yourself in a spot and do your music in front of people and see if people like you. See if you can get them to dance or smile. That is the only validation that counts in the music game, is if you can go outside and see if you and what you have to give musically pleases people. If it doesn't please anybody,
it's back to the drawing board.
You better go back to the drawing board or give it up. That's the thing, because you are not, to the regular public, to the culture, you're not what you think in your head.
That's so real. There's a saying that I think of often, but it's like we all have like 3 perspectives. So it's like how you see yourself, how others see you, and then how you actually are. Right. Or like how you think other people see you. Mm-hmm. Which is like an interesting thing. It's like you have your own perceptions of like how you're being but like other people have their own. Like it might not even match up with how you see yourself. It's an interesting thing.
No, it's crazy. It's I'm proud of when I see young people that really want to take their time to get to know themselves and are true to themselves, and especially when they're young and they know who they are. That is the most important thing. Know who you are. And to be honest with you, music doesn't have an age.
That's real.
It doesn't have an age.
Because if it's good, it's timeless, really.
I was a little kid and my mother was playing Barry White. And I remember the strings and the orchestra. And the first song was Love's Theme. It was an instrumental with his orchestra. I'm 3-4 years old and I love the song. Stop saying that's for older people. Stop doing that. Just let the children decide they're going to dance to anything that has a great melody.
It's good music. It's good music. It doesn't matter what time it came out.
It doesn't matter what time it came out. It doesn't, if you see a 3-year-old toddler now and you play the Jackson 5, they're going to start dancing.
They get down.
And that was made 50, 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. You understand? So this is what I'm saying. It's like, people have to stop, corporate has to stop categorizing everything like that. You don't know. The culture determines what they like. And then the corporate follow that and try to give a formula to how can we capitalize. And and maximize on the different angles of how the culture is responding to the impact. That's what it is. So, I'm sorry. Any more questions?
No, you're good. I got a bunch of questions,
Go
but
ahead.
I enjoyed this back and forth. But other than like your sax, obviously, what would you say has been the most important thing that has contributed to your success?
Being pleasant.
Yeah. Okay.
Being
That's
pleasant
real.
to the client. You got to be pleasant. Don't have such an ego. You so big and bad. Be pleasant and be solution oriented while you're being pleasant.
Find a way, get it done.
Yeah, find a way to get it done. And try to find solutions. That's the whole thing. Any successful person is going to tell you, find a solution for that. Wait, don't become a victim of the emotion behind the circumstances. Like, stop. It's not going to get you nowhere. So
I like that. Yeah. You and like we kind of like touched on it too, but like over the course of your career, you've collaborated with, you've shared space, you've worked with several legends across like hip hop, jazz, the whole nine. What has being in those places, being in those environments, taught you about navigating this industry and taught you about, excellence?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Okay, I'm going to start here. I was in a session with Patrick Adams, the music producer. He's the one that did the song Push, Push in the Bush, a dance song back in the late 70s. And this was like after years of him not being in the studio. And we were at the studio in Brooklyn, and I brought my team, my band down, and to just try to come up with new music with him. He hadn't produced in years, and he was looking for an opportunity to just get in the studio with musicians and see what could happen. And while we were in the studio, he started crying. Literally, he started crying at the piano, and and he's a legend. He's got records and accolades, and I think that if your skill set comes from a real place, then you can relate to the masters. Don't have, premature skill set or a skill set that's not really polished enough to be in the same room with the legends, because they look down on that. They'd be like, what are you doing again? And then they shut off. So if you play an instrument and you get in the studio with, I don't know, if you get in the studio with Mark Anthony, and you're like part of the horn section, like really know how to blaze that horn. Because remember, the masters and the legends, they have access to the best musical executors and musicians that execute sessions quickly. And, so you got to be really about your business. And you can't have your personal life get in the way of you getting down to your business and mastering your magic.
That's real.
Masters and legends only want to be in the room with magical people. That means that you've already located your own magic. They only want to be around that. If you haven't, they have no time for you. Because they've lived too much. They've seen too much. They know when things are magical and when they're not. They know faster than anybody. So that's really important. I would urge everyone that's in the music game, learn some music theory.
Okay.
It'll help you understand the language of music better. Learn music theory. It'll help. It's better when you're using all your music DOSes and all of that. Whatever DOS you're using, you learn some music theory, it becomes very easy to produce. Very easy.
And it only adds, like, you learning it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah,
it
don't
only
feel like,
adds to
oh, I
your
don't want to
thing.
learn that because I don't want to mess up like my feel. No. What it does is it actually helps you to articulate your feel better because you know exactly what key it's in, you know what chord changes you're using, you know what a 2-5-1 is, a 3-6-2-5-1, you know what that stuff is. You know what I'm saying? You know what the flat five is. Somebody's like, oh no, you know what? We're gonna change that chord change to a diminished chord right there in the 8th bar. You know exactly what they're talking about. You understand? It's not like, you know, it's the worst thing in the world is to get in the studio with people that don't know the language. They're like, yo, nah, do that other sound you did over there before. Nah, yo, we gotta go
Do the
like,
thing with the thought and the,
yeah, I hate that.
dude, make that vibe. Like, what is the vibe? You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't half explain, you know, or have an illiterate approach to explaining the music. We can't stay stuck in that and think that that's gonna be a hit thing.
That's real. And it kind of ties into what you're saying about, like, being in these rooms with, you know, with the top, where it's like, you gotta, like, one, it's like they've dedicated their lives to this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you show up and you haven't really dedicated like that, then it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And then again, it's like, it makes you more, knowing the theory and, like, knowing the lingo makes you more proficient.
Yes.
And because you're more efficient, you work better. And then you're able to be more efficient in these spaces.
Yeah,
so that makes, like, so much
save
sense.
time.
Exactly.
You know, I remember one day we had a jam session with Lenny Kravitz downstairs in Red Rooster and Jenny's Supper Club. And, you know, I got him to jam with us and whatever. It was my band playing. And he was like, yo, what key is this? I said, this is key. What key you want it in? He was like, oh, put it in E minor. I said, okay, no problem. Boop. 2 milliseconds. We changed to E minor for him. And that's what it takes. If Sting is in front of you, he has his guitar and he's like, oh, I want to do this song in C minor. You know what C minor is. You can't, yo, that other nod, that don't feel good. Their literacy has to stop. There are too many outlets to learn and become literate at the craft.
Yeah, YouTube University for free 99.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you gotta, you know, anyway.
I feel that. So that also, like, kind of ties into this next question. Like, what do you think separates a talented musician from a professional musician?
Professional musician is on time. He gets there before time. He or she gets there before time. They're organized. Talent is definitely not everything. It's not everything. That's only 50% or really 20% of the battle. Your character traits, being there on time. I take a person that's less skilled over a person that's more talented. Most of the people that have their own entertainment companies like myself would do that. I'm a member of the Recording Academy. I got many placements, you know, on television and in movies and stuff like that, you know, because I was early.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Early.
Yeah.
And when if you're doing something for television or whatever, you know, like the song that we did that was the most recent thing we did was on Funny AF with Kevin Hart. Like that was a song that we had did 2 years prior. And I had made it to the deadline to be in this compilation, you know, thanks to A&E Networks and Lifetime TV. And, you know, just be early.
That's big. And I think it shows a certain level. Like, I think the reoccurring theme of this conversation is, like, dedication. And it's like the fact that you're showing up early shows that, like, hey, I'm dedicated to this. I'm willing to, like, carve out extra time, so I'm here on time. Like, I'm taking this seriously.
Like today, I got here an hour early.
I was, like, yeah. And that's real. And, like, as, like, the host, like, I immediately noticed that because people be mad late and be throwing stuff off. And I'm like, I appreciate it. Like, I really do.
Because I know how hard you work. And I know that you're really great at what you do.
Appreciate it.
So I respect your prudence, you know, and the, you know, your ability to be professional. I respect it so much. Let me get here an hour early so that way I'm not a burden to his process of dealing with people a day.
For sure.
See, so now you didn't even know I felt that way. So, but see how it works together? That's what I'm saying. People that are serious, they're always going to end up on the same plateau. You know, people that are not. So, you know, I'm just grateful. Anyway, go ahead. You can.
No, like, I think that's great. Like, so yeah. And like we kind of touched on it too, but like for the person who's like, you know, just started off, maybe they are busking, maybe they're out playing in the park and stuff like that. What advice would you give them in regards to building a sustainable career? Because you've been able to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're able to provide for yourself solely off of your music, and you've done that for a long time. So, like, what advice would you give the person who's just started off? Maybe they're playing in the park, or maybe they're busking. What would you tell them to, like, help them get to that next step?
Play stuff that people like.
Okay.
Don't think that you're deeper than the music. Stop being so deep. You're wasting time. I got this hole now. You don't understand. Okay, once you say I don't understand, that's the problem. It's not. You're not as deep as you think. And learn how to please people sonically through sound. So in order for you to be humble enough to allow music to tell you how to do that, you got to be silent. Can't have a bunch of people around you always talking in your ear, wasting time with people that are not in your craft because you feel like you got to be around them.
That's big.
You got to really spend time by yourself to find out what the trees and the leaves and the ground and the dirt and the grass is saying to you. Because you have to please those elements first. You got to please the trees. You got to please the grass. Make sure. See if the wind that blows by the tree is blowing and the tree feels happy about the wind with your sound and the connection of those. People don't understand. Like, I have a whole concept of, because I actually did it. So, me being there in the scenario and under those circumstances got me to really understand everything that was around me. People's ears, just everything around me. So, be considerate. And if you have your own original music, which I love when people do that, make sure there's something in there that's pleasant, that touches people. Something that's sincere. Sincerity is the top seller with a song. You hear Norah Jones, what was the name of that single she had out? Don't know why. It was the sincerity of how she sang it. The sincerity was the first thing that you noticed on that record. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Don't know why. Like, and people don't understand that. So, are you sincere towards the music, or are you not? Coltrane. When you listen to, Coltrane, the biggest thing that sells Coltrane is his sincerity when he plays a ballad. It's so sincere, and sincerity is the highest form of purity when you deal with sound.
I like that.
And I've been, as far as the industry is concerned, I've been around like the top people and everybody's popular. I've been around all of that, but the greatest records that those popular people ever made were the things that was very sincere.
Yeah. Like, true to them and true to the spirit.
Yeah.
That's real.
Like that. That's it. That's it. Berry Gordy will tell you that.
And I resonate with that deeply because I find that I make music as well. And the reason why I got into music ultimately was there was a time in my life where I felt very alone. Right. But music was always the thing that those are the words that I didn't know how to say. Right. And I think oftentimes people think the thing that they're going through, the thing that they're feeling is exclusive to them. But I think music is an excellent vessel because you realize that I'm not the only person going through this thing. And it becomes relatable. And those end up being the songs that people are that's my favorite song, or that song helped me through this really hard time, because there's a certain level of honesty of what you're going through at that point.
Yeah.
And it's people above the nice cars and the ego and
Right.
people relate to what's real. So
They do. And again, the sincerity and your connection to how, when you hear that in a song, that means that person, that artist was extremely humble to the spirit of music in that moment when they delivered that song in the recording. So to get to that space, that's a very special space. Even the song, as long as you keep your head to the sky, you hear the sincerity of that quiet, Sounds of Blackness. You hear that, you get it. But it grabs you. That song snatches you. And it's all about how does that song affect my neurological system? Does it arrest my cells where I can't move and I gotta listen to the rest of it? That's the thing about songs. You know, one of my most greatest composers was Burt Bacharach. When he worked with, you know, in the 60s when he worked with Dionne Warwick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Hal David, when they made those songs, you know, the moment I wake up, ba 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 bum 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 bum. The sincerity of the way the chord changes were placed, and her voice, very simple vocal, was able to express that. That's what is missing.
I get that. I think that's real.
Yeah.
Got a couple more questions for you, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Just based off the previous like interactions that we've had, and like more so based off of this like conversation, you're a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are very much like in tune with spirit, whatever that may be, whether you call it the universe, whether you call it God,
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da. I'm curious, like, what did that journey look like? Did you grow up in a very like spiritual household? Was that something that kind of like evolved over time? Like, because it permeates through your conversation, like through the way you speak and how you talk about things. So I'm curious, like, what did that evolution look like for you?
You know, being young and being introduced to religion and growing up in that kind of a household kind of exposed me a little bit to it, but then it evolved inside of me personally over time. My travels and the type of rooms that I was in and the type of experiences that I've had, it got me to really understand how all these elements were put together, you know, how they're all woven together and what they mean in the impact of the human person, the human being. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you a whole bunch of church stuff and this, you know, it's that stuff is cool, I guess, you know, but I don't think that's the answer for everybody. You know, and you know, you can't just, this religion is going to take care of my whole life and all the solutions that are given to me through this particular religion is going to work for my whole life in every situation. No, it's not true. For anybody. You know, you'd be like, oh, you know, I go to this church, this is the only church, okay. But, you know, then half of the church is getting divorced. Why? If they all getting the same message, why are they having such a problem staying married?
That's real.
You know, like, what's the problem? Like, y'all both getting the same, y'all a couple, y'all been at this church for 20, 30, 40 years, but you got to get divorced. Why? Because that one message is not the answer for every individual.
That's real.
You know, and everybody doesn't comprehend everything the same. So, again, artists, everybody doesn't comprehend music the same. And everybody's not going to be famous the same. And you can't lust after the attention that someone else gets and try to claim that as like you should have that instead. Or you should have that along with them at the same time. That doesn't have your name on it, that popularity.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, even if you did have it, would you really be happy? Because, like, that wasn't really meant for you.
You know what it's like playing on a stage and 50,000 people are screaming as you're playing? I know what that feels like. You know what it's like to be in South Africa, in Harare, Zimbabwe, and you're performing with Soul For Real, and Soul For Real starts throwing their microphones at the crowd, and the promoter's telling me to play saxophone to calm 10,000 people down that were getting ready to attack the stage.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Soul For Real had to leave the stage and run on the bus while I was there in the rain playing.
Just hold them down.
And it calmed the whole crowd down.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and we're playing, you know, my love, do you ever? We're playing that on stage, and they had to leave because the crowd was getting ready to attack the stage. And I had to play saxophone and solos to calm them down. So, you know, that there's a balance there, there's a spirituality to this. You know, you have to go within and to allow your spirit to be limber enough to express itself so that way it can calm 10,000 people down. You know what I mean? Like, you can't try to be cool and y'all got a blunt in my mouth and I'm like, yo, all y'all chill out. Like, yo, that's not going to work in that moment.
And it's like you got to be firm within yourself.
You have to be firm.
Because like you said, that's like 50,000 people. So that's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And like, if you're not firm within yourself, that could easily like get in your head and be like, oh, I don't know what to like, I don't know what to do, like, you know what I mean?
You have to have enough alone time to become sound, and your constitution has to be solid in order for you to stand in that situation where there is 50,000 people drawing from you at once. With the air that comes out of your mouth going through a tool to transfer it to other people, to impact them so they can have a response back at me for whatever's going on. I'm just a tool, just like the horn is a tool. So another thing is, I would say every artist, it's good to try different genres. Don't get stuck in just one genre. Try different genres because it'll help you grow.
Outside of music, what brings you peace, and how do you protect that peace when it's
Riding around in my convertible.
Riding in the convertible?
Going to the beach. I'm going to Emerald Isle Beach in North Carolina. I love going out there. I love driving in the country.
Long roads.
Yeah, man. Stopping by some of the farms down there in my, so I have a house down there too. So, when I go home, like I'm going home tomorrow, I love being down there. I have a place here in the city too, but I love being in North Carolina and just like being in the country, the peace and all the natural environment, all the animals, the rabbits coming out to play, and the condors and the bald eagles. There's a lot of bald eagles in my area, having more bald eagles, snakes and all of that, garden snakes or whatever. But, I enjoy nature, I really do. And then I didn't realize that, being in North Carolina, going to the beach, you don't have to go to Miami. North Carolina is gorgeous. Like, they have aqua blue waters. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Right, a lot of people don't. But the waters are aqua blue.
Wow.
And they're gorgeous. The beaches are amazing down there. So, it's that's what I enjoy doing. Being home and, eating breakfast for $7.
Yeah, you get a big plate of breakfast too.
Yeah, it's the difference of pricing. Like, I'm down there and it's like I go to lunch with me, my wife, and my son, and it's like $47 for us to eat dinner. Up here, it's like $180 for 3 people to eat dinner in New York.
It's crazy. I was in Charlotte for a wedding like 2 years ago, and I got so used to like city prices. Like, went down there and we went to breakfast, and I got like pancakes, hash browns, sausage, eggs, bacon, $8. I was like, yo, this is crazy.
So they give you a break so you can be human and not be worried about bills all the time. So you get a chance to have peace with yourself. So that's what keeps me pretty much calibrated, being home and being around nature. And that's what it is outside of music. Because music is not everything. And some people need to... Yeah, you got to have time to yourself. There are many times that I ride in a car and I don't listen to nothing.
I do that often too.
Yeah, it's not necessary. Like, you need to have a clean slate, a blank, earscape, so that way you could just like not have a break from music sometimes.
Just processing time.
Right.
Because music or podcast or whatever, you're inputting just constantly.
Right.
If you're constantly inputting, you're not giving yourself time to process. And honestly, it's like, if you're an artist, like those moments of like, oh, I just got an idea, at least for me, those come in those in-between moments where I'm not listening to something or I'm not processing information. I mean, not inputting information. Mm-hmm. I'm just processing and I'm just sitting with my thoughts. Like, you have to give the space,
Yeah, and it's you got to know the right, for young people, they need to know the right people. You're not going to go nowhere if you don't know the right people. I mean, this thing is about connections. The whole music industry, most businesses are about connections. If you're not connected to the right people, it's not going to happen.
I would say, like, honestly, across like every career, my background is like in the arts, so I was like navigating in that space. But like, even like witnessing, like moving in those spaces, I realized that it's about connections and impressions.
Man,
connections and impressions.
Big shout out. While I remember, big shout out to Leo Cohen. Big supporter of mine.
YouTube, he's ahead of YouTube Music.
Yeah, good brother, man. That's a real one right there. I don't care what anybody, the internet. They have such. With me, amazing. Him and his wife Shin and his baby daughter and his 2 older kids as well. Oz, he's an A&R. And big supporters of us. Oz is actually a chef, but he's a good cook actually. But Leor, man, that guy, man, he's definitely good people, man. He's been very nice to me and my wife. Him and his wife have been very nice to us, and very respectable, good people.
That's good. It's good to have that, especially like I feel like in this industry too. The last interview I was just talking to the artist, and he was saying that I was like, "What's one thing you wish you would have learned sooner?" And he was like, I wish I would have known that some people aren't really true to their word in this industry. You know what I mean? Like, and knowing that, like, just because somebody says it doesn't mean they're actually about it. And, like, I think to your point is that, like, if you find good people, like, make sure you're nourishing that connection and make sure you're, maintaining that, because it's not necessarily everybody's going to operate that way.
Nourish that connection. Nourish it, because it's and people have feelings, people, Russell Simmons is another good guy. I mean, these people, they've made a way to help a lot of us to learn who we are. They put us in situations for us to prove ourselves, to be solid, and give us the opportunity, to be solid in the situation and take that situation and grow it to the next level. Leor has definitely done that for me. Yeah, and same thing with DJ Cassidy. DJ Cassidy will tell you the same exact thing I just said. Another good brother. We did a party out in Miami together, in Miami together back in February, end of February. We both realized that. It's like, yo, that's it. We both text Leor at the moment.
Yeah.
And we took a picture together and texted to him. And, it's just like, nah, man. We got to give credit where credit is due in these situations, because on the internet there are things that try to talk against that about certain people. And I'm just want to know for myself, nah. Yeah. No, he's the truth. Leor's the truth. I know that for a fact. Word. It's like, So, and that's the thing, is like, as a jazz saxophonist, I was a jazz saxophonist, then I moved over into, hip hop and R&B and everything else. You just got to know how to speak the language of that sonic, that sonic space. Like, know how to speak that language of each genre. Like, don't think, I don't play jazz, I don't listen to other stuff. No. Bossa Nova, I did a show in Brazil, in Rio, and I ended up playing with George Benjor.
Legend.
Right.
Legend. Like,
right. So
wow.
Mascanada.
Yeah, like
right? So we ended up playing with him at this private residence of this very important person in Brazil. Yeah. And it was out of this world.
Wow.
But because I know music, I was able to do the song, because they never sent the song to us ahead of time. Wow. They was like, yo, you got to do it right now. I was like, what's the song? They was like, you got to play Mascanada right now. George Benjor's right there. I was like, oh my God. We played it. Wow. Note for note.
Wow.
Because we listened to it real quick. It was like, okay, we got it. Yeah. Listen, man, these legends, they're not playing, and they will put you under pressure. Yeah. Dougie Fresh. Another great, he's an amazing brother to work with. Him and I worked together at Dave Chappelle's club.
Oh, in Ohio, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So we did that together, and I was the music director for that. Dougie Fresh, legend. Like, it's RZA, Dougie Fresh, Leor, all these people. Pete Rock. Another good friend of mine.
Another legend.
Reminisce. Yeah. Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Grand Puba from Brand Nubian.
That's another one.
Another legend.
Yeah.
I worked with him. Christopher Williams.
Yeah.
the R&B singer, another legend, Monifa,
Yeah. Wow.
another R&B legend. I was just with her 2 nights ago. So the people that master their own magic only want to be around other people who master their own magic.
Master your magic.
Right. And then they will want to collaborate with you because they know that you're serious in what it is you do. And they've been serious about what they've been doing because it feeds them. It feeds them in many different ways, financially, emotionally, spiritually. So you got to be at the top of your game in whatever it is you do. If it's fashion, be at the top of your game. Be at the top of your game.
That's real.
You know, D'Angelo, another one, great guy. He was at the top of his game. You know, Michael Archer, he's a great guy.
And like all these people, so much so that like they're able to navigate these spaces on their own terms.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So that's real.
Yeah, you know, another good mentor, I call him my older brother, Vernon Reed from Living Color. Vernon Reed is like, that's my big brother. You know, he knows a lot about the game. You know how they got signed, right?
I don't know the story behind how they got signed.
They got signed by the Rolling Stones.
Oh.
They're the ones that got them signed.
Oh, wow.
Mick Jagger got them signed.
Okay, wow. I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so there are levels to this, and you have to respect the paradigm that exists with these great human beings. And in respecting that paradigm, you got to know what your role is in that large paradigm and be a master of that role that you play.
Because it's all part of a larger picture. And it's like, don't be so caught up in ego that it's like, oh, it's all about me, blah, blah, blah. You're just a part of a larger picture.
A part of a larger
and like
picture.
own that and hone in on that.
And be humble to it, to what your role is. Be humble to your role.
That's real.
That's what I've learned.
No, that's good. That's a gym. All right. I don't want to take up too much time. I got like 2 more questions for you, okay? So your last project dropped in 2019?
Oh, yeah.
2019? What's next? Like, do you have a new project in the works? Are you focused on...
We got Gloria coming out.
Yeah.
She's coming out with What That Says, little R&B joint that's really dope. So we got that coming out. She also has a dance song called Journey that's coming out. She has a whole project that's actually coming out. You know, so we got that. Also, we have Jamal Peoples, this keyboard player, famous keyboard player, played with everybody. You know, Teddy Riley's another good guy. I've worked with him, and so did Jamal, 2 separate times. But, you know, Jamal Peoples' music, he's coming out. He's a prolific keyboard. He's the keyboard player that D'Angelo introduced me to when he was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when they were rehearsing for the Voodoo tour.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so Jamal was in the room, you know, playing around and jamming with his brother Larry Peoples, and that's D'Angelo introduced me to them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they were in the band with Angie Stone. Angie Stone was in Studio B, D'Angelo was in Studio A, and my band was in Studio C at SIR Studios on 52nd Street between
There we go.
8th and 9th Avenue.
Wow.
Boom. So, you know, we have some really great artists that are getting ready to come out. A lot of people know me from Red Rooster Monday Nights, which was a great thing, you know, in the industry and also regular fans. They also know me for starting the big block party on 8th Avenue in Harlem that was in front of Melba's. That was my block party, too. So everybody knows that became really popular. You know, they know me for that. Those are outside activations.
Yeah.
You know, or club activations that I started. And it meant a lot to a lot of different people. Thousands of people have showed up to both events. Thousands. And right now, currently, we're at the Victoria tonight on 125th Street, 233 West 125th Street, on the 5th floor. And we have a big party there. Anywhere between 300 and 500 people show up.
Wow.
And we have ball. We play every genre. You know what I'm saying? So we got new music coming out, new videos coming out. Another hip-hop artist that I'm working with is coming out with his music as well. Chris is coming out with his stuff. And we're about to drop that like the next few weeks. And, you know, Gloria's dropping in the next few weeks. Jamal is dropping in the next few weeks.
Ball's rolling.
Also, we're working with Timbuktu, which is platinum-selling rapper overseas in Scandinavia.
Okay.
Working with him, collaborating with him, doing some stuff with him. So there's a bunch of stuff. Over the next 6 months, there's a bunch of stuff dropping.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it.
And I will say, like, I was listening to that project, and like, I appreciated how much, I how much there's kind of like genre bending in it. Like
Right.
you have some like more traditional jazzy cuts. You had like some darker, kind of like moody cuts, and then you had like phenomenal MCs throughout the project. So like, I'm excited for what y'all got cooking up. What's in the
Yeah,
pipeline.
that was also just to highlight the band approach perspective to the music thing and how it fits in the culture. That's not like my real production stuff. Like now you're gonna be hearing like my Wu-Tang influence and all of that. You're gonna start hearing that kind of stuff. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is like the stuff with Gloria and her podcast. That's me.
Got you. That
Yeah,
was some good stuff. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
That's
so
dope.
so that's my stuff. That's my production. So me as a musician is different, and I'm able to separate the sonic personalities of both.
Got you.
Where production wise, I'm just at the keyboard and computer, and then playing with a band, a 12-piece band in the studio. It's two different things.
Got you. My bad. So obviously, you got new music in the works and things like that. You and I asked Gloria this too, but at the moment there there's a relationship blossoming between you, the Rakiem Walker Project, the whole collective as a whole, and with Starblaze Music Group. What does this next era like represent for you?
Oh man, I think we can become an amazing outlet for great artists. And I mean that. We can become an amazing outlet for great artists if we stay focused. I think Starblaze has the tools that it takes to give an artist to be exposed to the masses. Rick and Greg have that ability, especially with the infrastructure they've built here so far. With you guys and everything else, it's all about taking that and nurturing that, and then also servicing the audiences with good artists. Like, have to service the audiences. So, we have our demographic. We have people in America that's our demographic. Then we have Scandinavian demographic.
Yeah.
I'm just talking Rakiem Walker Project and all of that. So, and all the artists underneath. So, like that, being that we already have a following, that helps to have the infrastructure that Starblaze is able to offer to service that following. So what I see is an incredible future of us doing this the next 20, 25, 30 years and making impact. We got to keep going,
Not done yet.
Yeah.
Awesome. I feel like we just scratched the surface. I feel like there's like so much to your story that we have yet to touch on, but maybe we'll have you back and we'll get more into the nitty gritty. Is there anything else you want to kind of plug, or how can people find you?
RakiemWalker.com. You can, on Instagram, the Rakiem Walker Project. That's my page. TheRakiem Walker Project. You can go to my page and see all the work that we've done so far and continuing to do. You could look out for collaborations coming up for 2027 with Timbuktu and Bad Taste Empire, which is our people we work with out in Scandinavia for our Scandinavian tour stuff. Going to try to work out some stuff in New Zealand as well. I just got that call this morning. I was in a meeting with that this morning.
Nice.
Also, big shout out to A&E Networks and Jennifer and Sonia. Big shout out to, again, RZA, Lior. Big shout out to all the artists that are on the label and artists that we work with. Big shout out to Gloria.
Yep.
She's an amazing superstar. Also, Jamal People's Music, an amazing superstar, a keyboard player. And all of our supporters that come to see us every week and have been for years, supporting us. I mean, it's tens of thousands of people. So, our numbers are not fluffed up. And all of our private clients that hire us. So we will be at CC's on July 3rd, which is in East Hampton. We'll be performing there. We're going to be at the Victoria tonight on 25th Street. Big shout out to Gurney's Montauk. Big shout out to the Seville. Here on 29th and Madison, I've been there for years and was able to build my clientele there as well and notoriety. So it's all about live performance. Learn how to perform live, y'all.
There we go.
Got to learn how to perform live. Like, you better have a great stage presence because, people want to see you live. They don't just, not online. Online doesn't do it for everybody.
Yeah, it's like you want to feel the energy.
You want to feel the energy. You want to be in the same room with the act. So learn how to perform live. Big shout out to everybody in the music industry that's trying to make it and make it all make sense with a clear mind and not a false sense of, misappropriated self-importance. Misappropriated self-importance. Don't do that. Because you're not going to, music will definitely get rid of you. The spirit of music will get rid of you. Like, I know that for a fact. I've seen it happen many times. So, make sure that you're in it with the right attitude and just keep pushing and try to get better at what you're doing. Like, try to just get better at what you're doing. Just get better. Don't stay in the rut. Don't keep on doing the same thing over and over that you've been doing for the last 10 years. Learn how to get better. Try new genres. Try to play different. Try something different.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your story and whatnot. So, and again, I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
So we'll definitely have you back another time. When we
Thank you, brother.
It. Yeah,
I appreciate you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If y'all enjoyed this video, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all comment, and make sure y'all subscribe. And that's been the Starblaze Music and News Podcast. We're out.
Peace.
There we go.
All right.